Right then people, what is going on, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is very special because I am driving one of my dream cars. So when I made my YouTube channel, this is what I dreamed of. Having the opportunity to drive dream cars such as this one and experience what it feels like without actually having to purchase one. Now, some of you may know, or some of you that follow the channel may know that I have recently made the purchase of a supercar. Now, what supercar that is, you're gonna have to wait and find out, but I've made the purchase of a supercar, and I think a lot of people that are watching this video that are maybe shopping for an RS6, in your price range are supercars. You know, you can get an RS6 like this. This one is £43,000, and for that budget, you can pick up a supercar. Now, they do vary in quite stark ways, and I'm here to tell you what you should do about your decision with regards to buying an Audi RS6. Now, of course, looking at me now, I didn't buy an RS6, which is why I'm so excited to drive one now, because I've not actually been in one. I didn't end up buying one because I opted for something else. But that's not because I didn't like an RS6. It's still one of my all-time favourite cars. So I think one of the things to consider if you're shopping for an RS6 is this is a very big fish in a very small pond, whereas other supercars generally at this price point are very small fish in very big ponds. And what I mean by that is that an RS6 is categorically, I believe anyway, the best car in its class. I don't think you can get a better family car or a better estate for the money. This is the fastest, the smartest, the best looking, the most technologically advanced, and yeah, I'm sure that the new electric cars, they would probably beat that on most fronts, but if you're a petrol head, this has probably been on your radar for quite some time. Whereas if you were to get a supercar for this budget, generally, as a rule, unless you get an absolute bargain, as a rule, if you're buying a supercar for £43,000, it's going to be at the bottom end of what a supercar is. And that's what I mean. You're going to be a small fish in a very big pond. You're going to have the worst supercar probably within budget. And you're probably going to have the worst supercar that is probably on the market in terms of condition, mileage, etc. Whereas this, you can get an example like this, which is a beautiful example with some very nice tasty extras. It's as quick, you can seat your family in the back, you can use it on a day-to-day basis, but when you want to use it on a track or have fun with it, it's there, it's good to give you. So enough about RS6s in general. We'll get more to chatting about RS6s on the test drive a little bit later on, but let's talk about this car what I'm sat in. Now, this one is for sale for just shy of £43,000, which when you consider how much one of these cars were new, that is drastically cheaper than what you will pay from the factory. Now granted, this is a C7 and there is a newer version than this, so this is not the newest RS6 on the market, but in my opinion this is the best for many reasons, but just a few to reel off is the new one is not as quick, it doesn't look as smart, and it's got a soft limiter. And who wants a soft limiter? You want to buy one of these cars because you want to hear that V8 roar, and if you can't do that while you're in neutral sat at some traffic lights, then I think the first thing I'd do if I was to get a newer one is try and get that soft limiter removed. So this one was spec'd very nicely from factory in terms of the colour and the options that are given. This is very subtle. This is not an in-your-face RS6. In fact, it's even been debadged at the front. There's no RS6 badge on the front. It's a subtle car. It's finished in Daytona grey. It's been remapped up to 666 brake horsepower, which when you consider standard, it's 553, and it's got a 0 to 60 of 3.9 seconds. This is a quick car, and I couldn't afford a supercar that goes this quick. I mean, maybe you could just get a supercar that goes this quick, but it's not going to be in as good condition as this, and the maintenance on this, for the most part, is not much more expensive than an A6. In terms of, yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more to get serviced just because of the size of the engine, but the parts, if you were to replace just a generic part out of this interior, for example, the most of it is standard A6, so you can get that from a normal A6. It's only when you start to look into the specialised parts that it's going to cost you a little bit more. But even when you look at them specialised parts, because people want them for their normal A6s, the price has come down drastically on them. So you can get an RS6 grille, you know, let's say if you had a front end accident on this, you could probably get an RS6 front end aftermarket for a reasonable price. So yeah, like I said, when it comes to servicing and maintenance of this, it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's going to cost more because it's got more spark plugs and takes more oil. It's not going to cost more because you're hanging out for that, you know, that Lamborghini dealership stamp. So let's first of all, let's listen to this beast when it starts. So let's take this dream car out for a spin. Christ, I have never ever in my life experienced power like that. I've driven some quick cars, I've driven some fun cars, but nothing is quite that quick. Now, I don't want to launch this from static, just because I've seen another YouTuber launch one of these from static and it broke the diff. Now, although I'm pretty certain that it wouldn't happen, I just don't want to test fate. But from static, nothing quite launches like an RS6. If you're shopping for an RS6, I almost already know what you've been through, what you've been shopping for, and probably the cars what keep coming up, because some of them have been on the market for quite a while. Now, if you are in the market for a C7, probably one thing that keeps popping up is a better condition C6 for your money. Now, I consider the C6 RS6 as the first RS6 that was truly bonkers. Now, there were one before it, and yes, it is a great car, the one before it, but it wasn't quite put a supercar engine in a family car bonkers, and that's exactly what the V10 in the C6 is. And this, although it's not a V10, it's a V8, it is developed from that. It's developed on from that idea of having absolutely insane power in an estate car. And yeah, like I say, I know the older ones do have insane power, but compared to this, it is nothing. And it takes quite a lot to turn an older RS6 into something that feels slow, but that's exactly what these do. And if you see these in a drag race, and there's loads of YouTube videos of these drag racing, the generations, this is still the quickest one, even quicker than the new one. And in my opinion, it's the best looking one as well. So yeah, you've got the C6, that'll keep popping up, and probably the only main appeal of the C6 is that it has got that V10 Lamborghini engine. And I personally think that in years to come, and 20, 30 years time, I think they will be quite a valuable car, just because of the whole idea of it was pretty mental. And generally the first of a pretty mental idea usually holds its value pretty well. And probably other things that keep popping up are supercars within your budget, and you're probably toying with the idea of what is good and what is best, and justifying which car's for you. But I think that there's no car quite like this, in terms of it is rapid, you can get your whole family in it, you can get the dogs in the boot, you can take it shopping. It's just that all-rounder. Whereas you get a supercar, an R8, or, you know, there's plenty in the budget of this, an R8, an Aston Martin. There's quite a lot of supercars, or what some people may consider supercars, that fall into the budget of this, and less. And you could potentially even pick up a V10 R8 for the price, but it definitely doesn't tick boxes like this does. And something interesting that I spoke to James Martin from JM on Cars, and when I was shopping for one of these, he was like my go-to guy. He's got a deal with Audi where he's driven a lot of these cars, and I just spoke to him about it, and what he said something quite key in this, and I consider him to be quite a knowledgeable chap around vehicles, and he said in every other application other than when you're wringing its neck, an A6 is better. That's quite a bold statement, but it's quite a valid statement. This is the absolute perfect car for anyone that wants a faster family car. They don't come faster than this in terms of family cars. And they're head turners as well. For many people, this is a dream car. For many, many people. In fact, every single car enthusiast out there has probably at one point thought, maybe this is the car for me. And the prices what you can get these for is absolutely insane. So where does this car differ to every other RS6 on the market? Why is this one special? Now, don't get me wrong, there are RS6s out there that have been mapped and tuned to within an absolute inch of their life, and they do look insane, but I just feel like they do take away from the daily drivability of the car, and I wouldn't really want to be driving a 900 brake horsepower RS6 every day, because it's just the nature of it. You know, you don't pump that much horsepower into a car and expect it to run as reliably as it did when it was half the horsepower. This one's been mapped to a very reasonable, probably the first time I've ever said that, a very reasonable 666 brake horsepower, which when you consider that standard it's more near 550, and it's not too much of a jump on the original output, but it's enough of a jump for you to notice the difference. This has also had a Maxton body kit put on it, which it's basically, it's a front splitter, it's a rear spoiler that attaches to your existing spoiler, it's some side skirts, it just gives it that little bit more of a meaner look, and they're all in black, which is quite a nice finish on this Daytona grey. The car looks as if it's just rolled out of the factory. It is so well looked after. There's not a mark on it. The interior is mint. The bolsters aren't worn. And for anyone that does follow the channel, you know I'm quite familiar with these seats. I put a set of these seats in my van, and I know the mileage of the vehicle, what they came out of, and I know how many miles I did in my van. And someone's really looked after this car. Someone's really thought about what they're wearing when they're getting in and out of this car, so they don't wear them bolsters. There's no scratches on the gear shifter, indicating maybe that the last man was single, but that's something you'd expect to see on a car of 60,000 miles, but this car it's just not got any of it. And I don't think that'd ever get boring. I genuinely don't think it would. And the power delivery of this is absolutely next level. Next level. What a dream. What a dream to drive this. I thought I'd take this out in the morning and hopefully there'll be no one on the road because everyone's at work doing stuff. How wrong I was. Even at 20, just going from 20 mile an hour to 30 mile an hour, the kick, what it gives you, you could just feel it hook. You can feel there's a slight millisecond where the grip is lost. Like just a fraction of a second, the rear wheels lose the grip, and then everything else kicks in and it fixes itself, and it just hooks and goes. And that is another thing that you should consider with these cheaper supercars, is that for someone that's not a trained driver like me, I mean, I'm just a hobbyist. I've done the odd track day. I like driving quick. I like fast cars, but I'm not trained in driving. I'm not a skilled drifter, or I've not got insane car control. This is a good car for it. It's all-wheel drive. It's pretty hard to get wrong, and don't get me wrong, that's not a clause like you can't crash this, because you definitely can crash this if you try hard enough or get it wrong enough. But it's pretty, unless you go in too hot, you're gonna probably get out of the corner all right. And of course, as with most Audis, this one again is plagued with understeer. It's just the nature of having a car this quick built into the chassis of a family car. But yeah, there's my thoughts. And genuinely, if you're in the market for an RS6, they don't come much better than this. And this is a true gem. I can't believe it's not sold yet. The only reason I can think of that it's not sold is because people just haven't seen it and they're assuming it's the same as most others. But when you come and see it in person, it is such fantastic condition. This could say 10,000 miles on the clock and I wouldn't know any different. In fact, I'd still think that it looks good for its age. All the people, every single man that has ever lived has come out today. I literally get butterflies in my tummy when I do that. That is insane. The sensory overload this car gives you. Of course, not once there did I break the speed limit. Just what an insane car. This is an absolute beauty. So I think it's only fair to stick this thing in manual and see what it's going to give me. And the roads are slightly greasy, so I'm not going to be wringing the life out of it too much. But you can't review an RS6 and not hear what it sounds like when you're putting your toe down. If you want to lose your license, this is a quick way of doing it. Oh my God. You just hold it in that manual. And I mean, I'm not even touching 5 grand there, and it sounds like a race car. And then downshifts are just as glorious as the upshifts. I'm going to take myself back to Hamworthy Car Centre before I get in trouble, because this thing, oh my God, if my supercar, once I get it, can make me feel half as good as what this feels, I'm going to be happy. This is insane. What an amazing car. If you are in the market for one of these, get it. Buy this one, because this is or buy one and map it up to this one standard. Now I'm sure I'm going to be looking back on this in years to come when I've driven 1,000 brake horsepower plus cars and laughing at my reaction, but if you're like me, just a normal guy that's saved up the money for a nice car, this is going to make you happy. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thanks for being on the channel, which has allowed me to do things like this. If you do like the car and maybe you want to purchase the car, then you can contact Hamworthy Car Centre, and this is part of their stock at the moment. And like I've said it numerous times in the video, this is a fantastic example, and not every car gets that grace, because I have a very, very fine attention to detail, and it takes something that is in great condition for me to tell you it's in great condition. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. If you do have a car like this that's maybe a little bit quicker that you think I should get on the channel, then send me a message and I can review that as well. But other than that, guys, I'll catch you in the next video.